Most people can't guard anybody one-on-one. The rules are different now, but when we played.
But you got to be able to talk to your guards that this guy's open, rotate over.
Any pick and roll, we're trapping.
We don't let this ball come into here. We're not letting him come into here.
You need to recognize when you're not on the ball, where do your teammates need help at?
You would know right when you can't throw it. As soon as they're cutting, 5 would have a clear out to go with her right hand right behind it.
Hello, I'm your host, Tim Gray, Associate Head Men's Basketball Coach at Spalding University. Today's guest, former University of Louisville Assistant Women's Basketball Coach Sam Purcell, former University of Kentucky men's basketball player and NBA star Derek Anderson, and former University of Louisville men's basketball player Ryan McMahon. All right, Coach. So now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some strategies and philosophies. And I know you was a video coordinator at Auburn. So what we're going to do is we're going to touch on that notion. We're going to get into being a video coordinator. So I know you saw a lot of footage on a lot of things. Right. So what we're going to do is we're going to discuss some of the notions of what y'all did offensively at that time and when you were at Auburn. Okay, so let's talk about some of the sets that y'all ran when you was at Auburn. What was your philosophy?
Oh, man. So I worked for a gentleman, Joe Champy, who eventually was inducted into the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame. And as basketball coaches, as you know, the best coaches are best copycatters. And in 2000, all right, if you can believe this, now they're the Brooklyn Nets, but it was the New Jersey Nets, Jason Kidd, Kittles. Gosh, you can help me out with some more.
It was,
gosh.
Well, you talking about Jason Kidd, Kerry Kittles,
yes.
Kenya Martin, Richard Jefferson?
Yeah, they were the team of the NBA. And so they ran the Princeton offense. So as a video coordinator, obviously my summer project while my head coach was gone was to get that film. You know, that's how I told you earlier how I got into this profession was technology was just moving in sports. It used to be VHS to VHS, but now it moved to a digital format where you could chop it up in a computer, organize it nice, where you could just really break down playbooks. And so from that, he was a coach that you got to understand. We were in the SEC. And in 2000, Tennessee women's basketball was the team. Okay? And again, what made him a smart coach is not necessarily doing what the other great teams did. You had to be different. You had to give them something to prepare for to give you a chance to win every night. So he was big on the Princeton offense. All right? And let's talk about the Princeton. So the Princeton, all right, and why it fit us good at Auburn, it was first of all, we didn't have the best one-on-one players. All right, so we had to have an offense that had 5 players that could work together to break down the defense. All right, especially in the post. We were undersized. We weren't just going to play power basketball. So what I love about the Princeton is first and foremost, there's a lot of spacing. So this was our general areas that we would always come down, all right, when we would set up. We're not high transition. All right, we had to win ugly. All right, a typical game for us back in the day was if we could win it, keep it in the 60s, we had a chance. Drive the other team crazy. So first and foremost in the Princeton, what we love about, again, is spacing. We're not trying to get in a power basketball game. You know, when you're playing somebody with power, you know, 6'5", 6'6", obviously advantage defense if you got a 6'1" post player, right? So now let's get them uncomfortable. Let's space them out. So what we would love to do is we'd love to shift the defense with a simple dribble weave. All right, when that action would occur, we would screen away. All right, and what I'm going to show you first is that the defense never took anything away. All right, and then I'm going to talk later about if they took something away, how we would automatically go into the next options. All right, so again, it's all about spacing and being in the right part of the floor. So when this dribble handoff occurred, 2's responsibility after the dribble handoff, it was always to dribble lane line extended. All right, and I'll explain that later. 3, when they screen away, again, lane line extended to put us in perfect formation to make the next read. All right. So here we go. We got 3 and 4 who would alternate. 2 would make a nice short pass because, again, this pass was available. We would set a back screen, all right, with a quick ball reversal. Now, on this quick ball reversal, our first option, all right, was to look for this quick action right here. Because, again, back in the day in 2000, we wanted the bigs out. This is before the movement that we have now. So now this would give us an easy look because a lot of bigs don't know how to guard in space. Do I give help? Do I not? Boom, boom, right? All right, from there, all right, we got 4 with the ball. We got 2 here, 3, all right, and 1 opposite, all right, and 5 at the elbow. What we loved with our team that we had at Auburn at that time, we had big guards. Again, I started off telling you, we didn't have the most skillful one-on-one, so we could beat you with cuts, down screens, in space, and we had a chance to win every night. So our 3 guard was actually 6'1". And on the perimeter, that's hard because if you can shoot the ball and you can post up, you are now a matchup problem. Which is funny when you look at today's basketball. It seems like everybody, Kevin Durant, all the big time players, you know, they're all kind of positions.
Of course.
So for women's basketball, that's a game changer if you can have a kid who can post up and play on the perimeter. All right. So what we wanted to do is after that back screen occurred and we couldn't get a layup, we wanted to dive the three right away and let's get a little post up pressure, right? When that was occurring, we had off ball timing where this action was with a down screen, which was our best shooter. Our forward was a highly skilled kid who can make this pass, or we could hit up our big guard for an easy post up.
So back screen, re-screen.
Yeah. And then from there, the last part, and again, this is if the defense didn't take away any options, all right, we would clean this up. All right, 5 after the down screen, we'd have 2 feet in the paint. So this is the ideal time if we don't have the shot that we're nailing the 5 with a great post position to score quickly. And then we would clean it up with a simple down screen here to get our 3 back out, where our 2 could hit the 3 or throw it into the 4. All right? So that was our simple, if the defense doesn't do anything, let's just wear them out, beat them by screening, and play power basketball.
So, I mean, the execution is there. You got back screens, you got a re-screen, you got a wide down screen early.
Yeah.
Right? And all these are scoring cuts. That's the thing about it.
Right.
And they lead into an action and an activity for possibility of a score, which is what you want. And it's doing it all over the floor. And the thing is, it's not bottled down to one person specifically. So, I mean, that's a good notion. That's a good offense to run.
Yeah, and one part I want to show you here that I love about the Princeton, again, it's a read and react. So I'm going to take you to a part where now we have a problem. Okay? And the beauty of it is, especially with team basketball, if we have a problem, but we're all on the same page, we got a chance to solve that problem, right? So let's take this, let's start over again. We got the dribble handoff. 2, again, is supposed to go lane line extended.
Of course.
All right, but now we have a great defender who has scattering port defense, X3, who shoots the gap and denies this pass. So, again, when you run the Princeton, there's parts of it that you teach that you got to be committed, that you got to know how to go right into the next action. So what we would do if that situation would occur, and we could not reverse the ball to 3, we would automatically dribble, I can't see you, outside foot, reverse pivot, and again, this is where spacing is important. We always wanted to make sure one was above the free throw line extended.
But if I see you coming up when I catch the ball and you're out of your stance and you're just coming like with your arms like here, you have no balance.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Scouting Report basketball class. Okay, what is Scouting Report, which I just discussed? It's an opportunity for coaches to come in here and learn about the craft. This is a great venue to learn about coaching. People who join the class will have a chance to learn about themselves, what it takes to be a coach, X's and O's, offensive and defensive concepts, and other variables that take place around the game of basketball. This is a chance to meet and network with individuals such as yourself to create an atmosphere of learning and development. I want to talk with you about the different evolutions of the game. I want to talk about the late 90s, early 2000s, and how the game has evolved and how you perceive the game to be played now to when you played. And not saying that it's that big wide of a gap as far as age, but how do you feel about how the game is played? Let's talk about the late 90s, how you viewed the game then.
I came in at 97, and it was kind of transition from the 90s, the early 90s, to was more like, it was just so many athletes at the time. And I think for us, it's like seeing so many guys, like you look at the 2-guard position, and it was top to bottom the same players. Like they all could dunk, they all played defense, they all could shoot, they all played aggressively.
They all played from all 3 levels.
Yes, they played from different levels. So it's like you didn't get like just a jump shooter most times. Like Reggie Miller was coming off screens and he was catching and ripping through. So he had a mix of his, but most of the guys in the 2-guard era, when you look at it, we were all aggressively playing. So
go ahead and name a few. Just name a few in 97 when you're coming in. Who are your 2 guards?
You had Clyde Drexler, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Ray Allen, Eddie Jones, Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady. You had J.R. Ryder, Mitch Richmond. Like those are all like, it's a lit, like you had so many of them guys, like Kerry Kittles. Man, it was so many guys, and you just had them on every team. So if it was like 28 teams, you had like 30 teams. Well, I don't think it was 30 then, but you had so many players at that position. Then you go to the bench, and you're looking at like a Kobe was coming off the bench for Eddie Jones at the time.
Yeah, and Eddie Jones.
You see what I'm saying? Like, so Eddie Jones was an all-star.
He was an all-star.
Continuous. So it wasn't like he was a weak dude, but Kobe turned into Kobe. And it's like, it was like guys on the bench coming in was really balling. So that 90s.
You forgot Latrell.
Latrell, Allen Houston, Grant Hill. But it was a bunch of 2-guards and 3s that would play back and forth. And it was just too many, it was so many players. Like, you looked at the Glenn Robinsons of the day who had a 15-footer that would destroy people. people. You put him in the era of the game. Tim Thomas was a monster.
Oh, Tim Thomas.
Like there was athletes at the 2 and the 3 position that it was hard to match and say, okay, this is going to be a win. Like now you can say, okay, Devin Booker's probably better than the other 2 guard on most teams. You can literally see that in most scenarios. And then you'll look at some players when we played, like there was never a drop off. It was just whoever had a better game, whoever had a supporting cast was winning.
And did you say Ray Allen?
Yeah, I said Ray Allen. Yeah. Those are the guys I guard. And remember, he moved Allen Iverson to the 2. Eric Snow was at the 1.
That's what I'm saying.
So you're 2 guards.
That's how smart Larry Brown was.
Yes, he said I got to get him from not running my team, but to helping my team. And I think that's when they started. That's when they made it to the run to the championship.
Exactly.
So I think my era was just so many athletes that played all 3 levels. It wasn't like one was just a jump shooter. Like you can't name 5 2 guards now that are windmill dunking. And when we played, everybody could windmill dunk. And that's what I'm saying. It's like now guys is
just name 3.
Name 3 here?
No, I'm talking about name 3 that as far as like.
I could windmill dunk. I had 2 ACLs. I got video footage of me dunking.
Hey, that's what I'm saying.
But if you had Eddie Jones could windmill, you had Desmond Mason, Jason Richardson, like them guys were windmill dunking in games.
Yeah.
Like Kobe with 360. Like we were doing dunks in games. It was like worthy of dunk contest. And that's what I said, the transition of so many athletes, we were 3-dimensional. 3-pointers, 15-footers attacking the basket. Then we added the post from Jordan. So we recognized mismatches. Guards started getting in the post. And then the 2s and 3s was almost unguardable. So people tried to double team, and that's when everybody went out to shooting 2-point guards. Remember, point guards didn't have to shoot that much. Stockton didn't shoot that much. Eric Snow didn't shoot that much, and that's when the transition came with shooting point guards. So in the 2000s, they said we need scorers as 2 guards. I mean, it's point guards too, because all the other point guards just ran teams mostly, and they would hit open shots. You know, like a Kenny Smith and all them, they were hitting 3s, but they had to be doubled and then passed out because they had to throw the balls to the big man. And then you started to look at the transition, and guys just started getting more point guards that were scorers. And that's when the late 2000, 2007, 2008 is when I was ready to retire. I was like, a lot of these point guards are shooting now. They didn't shoot that much, and that's when you started to recognize that Chris Pauls was getting more shots, and all those other guys was getting a lot of shots.
And I think the one point guard that I think kind of started that trend a little bit was Damon Stoudemire.
Yeah.
Because once again, Toronto was a new organization.
They let him shoot.
Yeah.
Mike Bibby's came into their own.
They called him Mighty Mouse. He was getting triple doubles. Like I never, especially at his height, getting triple doubles at the point guard spot.
Yeah.
I mean, he was doing a lot of scoring, but he was doing a lot of variations for that team, a lot of things.
And you could see a transition, and then they went after like the Mike Bibby's who could score. And then they started going after other guys. Because Gary Payton's and them, they weren't scoring that much.
No,
they were making plays.
They were making plays.
They would put the pressure on you. Yeah, they would open shots. Yep. Kevin Johnson's of the world. So when they started retiring, I started noticing point guards are shooting more. So the 2s and 3s were getting shots, but they weren't the dominant scorers anymore. And the 4 men was still there with Kevin Garnett's, Rasheed Wallace's, Tim Duncan's. Like we had 4 men that was ridiculous. Stromile Swift. Jump out of the gym. They don't like right now. Who jumps highest at a 4 position now? We don't know because they're shooting jump shots.
Yeah.
And that's why I say the transition now from a lot of athletes have gone away to more shooters. So it's almost becoming a different type of league because you saw it in 2008 when the Stromile Swifts and all them was supposed to shoot jumpers now. Because Paul Gasol's was shooting jumper. Like, you're 7 feet and you're shooting a jumper. Like, we're not used to that. Like, like we're used to like Patrick Ewing them shooting like jumpers with the pick and roll, pick and pop. But usually they're trying to dunk. So we started to see it. And then in like the 2010s is when you recognize it was more of a shooting game. It was like whoever's making jump shots. Spontae Ellis was shooting a bunch of shots, and that's when him and Steph Curry started playing together. And that's when those 2 dudes started saying, oh, you can win like this. Mark Jackson put them in that position, and then you started to see the transition into what it is now.
Okay. Well, now, being that you brought up Patrick Ewing, okay, and I know people kind of talk in ways like Patrick Ewing, David Robinson, Hakeem Olajuwon, or Shaquille O'Neal in today's game wouldn't have a true effect or, have that same effect that they had during their time, but they have it now. To me, I feel that they would because at the end of the day, you would probably have to adjust to them at the end of the day, regardless of how you want to put it. So how do you feel about that?
Well, anybody who says that, I think they're looking at it from a standpoint, it's too fast. But people don't realize Shaquille O'Neal ran a break.
Yeah.
Hakeem Olajuwon would run a full speed break. David Robinson ran a break. They got him dunking where Jordan went for the ball and David Robinson dunked it. People don't study the game, so you don't really get into it with them. But if you watch the game back then, Ralph Sampson was 7'2" and ran a break.
Yeah. He ran like
so
a
they were athletes.
Yeah, they were athletes.
But the problem was that back then the coaches were so stubborn that they just threw them on the post. The coaches didn't utilize their athleticism. And I think that's why people don't think they would make it. But those guys were super athletic. If they played now, all you got to do is throw them to the box because it's 4 out. Throw the ball into them, they just turn and dunk, turn and dunk, turn and dunk. You never have to miss. And they say, well, what would you do down the other area? Well, you can go zone now in the NBA. Had a big guy back there, just challenge the corner shot and let everybody else play. But you know you're going to score at the other end because you can't stop a big 7-footer. So I think like a Shaquille, he would do well. I think a lot of those guys would do well. But again, you don't know.
My mentality ready to knock down a shot. From there, throughout the game, I'm seeing how the defense is closing out on me. How strong are they closing out on me? I'm not going to force shots in the beginning of the game because I want to see how they're closing out, how aggressive they are closing out, and I'm quick enough to get by them if they're closing out.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Scouting Report basketball class. Okay, what is Scouting Report, which I just discussed? It's an opportunity for coaches to come in here and learn about the craft. This is a great venue to learn about coaching. People who join the class will have a chance to learn about themselves, what it takes to be a coach, X's and O's, offensive and defensive concepts, and other variables that take place around the game of basketball. This is a chance to meet and network with individuals such as yourself to create an atmosphere of learning and development. So now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some concepts. As you being a two-guard and a sharpshooter, what is it that you're looking for? Let's start with your whole process into the concept of shooting and getting that frame of mind. Before a game start, what is your thought process leading into a game as a shooter?
A lot of my thought process is done through just visualization. I know I've put in the work. I know I've gotten up the reps. I've spent the time in the gym. My shot feels good. Now it's about visualizing and gaining confidence through that visualization. Seeing the ball go through the net, picturing, the crowd going crazy, picturing what I'm going to do after the shot, how I'm going to hype up the crowd, how I'm going to get back on defense and try to impact on the defensive end. It's all about that visualization, how the defense is going to play me, where I'm going to be getting shots against this particular team, visualizing all that beforehand so when it happens in the game, I'm not surprised.
Okay. And now, since that's that process, now you hit the court. Now you're starting to see who you're going to go against. So now you get to really size them up, physicality and everything. What is your thought process as a shooter? What are you starting to look for in that process?
Well, I always think the most important part of the shooter, besides confidence, is your preparation. So if you're not ready to shoot, you're probably not going to make it. So being ready to receive the ball at any time. I know my guys are looking for me. So having my feet ready, my hands ready, my mentality ready to knock down a shot. From there, throughout the game, I'm seeing how the defense is closing out on me. How strong are they closing out on me? I'm not going to force shots in the beginning of the game because I want to see how they're closing out, how aggressive they are closing out, and I'm quick enough to get by them if they're closing out too fast and creating a shot for another player.
Okay. Now let's talk about something, okay? We're going to give you a little action right here, which is a simple. I'm not putting everybody up here. I'm just putting 3 individuals that are in activity. We're going to set a wide down screen, okay? Here you are, the 2. We got the 1 and the 4, okay? Now here's your defenders right here guarding that wide down screen. What are you looking at right here as a 2-guard? What are you starting to visualize? What are you seeing that what you want to get open?
So first things first, I want to make sure my 4-man is set. The guy setting the screen for me is set. I don't want to pick up an offensive foul for him. Second thing I'm looking at is my defender. If my defender is going under this screen, I'm bumping this back every single time, 10 times out of 10, and I'm knocking it down. If he does his job, he chases me correctly when I'm coming off this screen. Now it's my job to look at both the 4-man's defender and the 1-man defender who's guarding the ball. And if they come up on me, it's my job to turn the corner and try to hit the roll man. If they stay back, then this is a jump shot 10 times out of 10.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, at least you talked about it from a guy going under, he chasing, fade, all those activities, so you're understanding that notion. Okay. Now, draw me something that maybe you did. Now, I know you had different regimes. You had Coach P, you had Mac. What was a play for Coach P, playing for Coach P? What was probably a play he'd run that you were like, okay, I know I'm getting a shot here?
Yep. So I loved this play that we ran. For me, it was basically floppy action for me. To get me a shot. This is usually what we would run after I made a shot. It would start with the 5-man coming down and setting a screen for me. 1-man had the ball, he'd pass to me. At the 2 spot, 5-man gets the block after he's setting the screen for me. I'll erase that. So now the 2-man has the ball. 1 guy cuts through to the corner. And the 4-man makes his way over. Now I have the ball here on the wing. 4-man pops. I hit the 4-man. And as the 4-man pops, the 5-man's coming up and setting a screen. Now it's up to me the first look is to fake come off this pick, and if my defender comes over the top, then I'm the 5-man is switching the level of the screen, and I'm bumping back for the 3. If my defender does his job and chases me, now I have the 3-man setting a screen here, so I'm coming off the 5-man and I'm coming off the 3-man, and I have floppy action. I can curl this. I can stay out here for the 3. I can get into the lane, shoot a mid-range shot. It's basically a play set up for me to come off the 5-man and the 3-man, running back and forth in floppy action to get a good look.
Well, I'll tell you this: for that type of action, you got initial pin down, which you could try to score out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got a back screen, so that's a second screen on the defender. And then you got a baseline run stagger, basically, because it turns into a stagger. So you got the third screen at the end, which that means that guy's ran through 3 screens, which I'm pretty sure he's annoyed by then.
Absolutely.
So, especially when he knows at the end of the day, you have the green light to pick where you want to take the shot at. If you wanted to go ahead and take it off the initial, you could take it off the initial. And then you have the green light to curl, fade, whatever. So now his objective is to make sure that his teammates are going to help and take away and limit your options. Because if he doesn't, he's in trouble.
Yes, if he's put on an island and he doesn't have all 5 guys guarding me, it's going to be difficult for him, because my guys, I know they're going to set solid screens and try to get me open.
Okay, now let's talk about one thing that is important for a shooter, is good passes.
Absolutely.
Now, once again, if you're a knockdown shooter, it really doesn't matter as long as I get it, then I'm open. It can be thrown out of my pocket, but as long as I don't catch it, I can get in my shot. Now, question, what is your communication like with that guy who has the ball? What is your community? What is the feel between you two?
So I was blessed to have playing with great point guards at Louisville. Quentin Snyder, Darius Perry, Fresh, all those guys. Kristen Cunningham. They all knew where I liked the ball, when I liked the ball. They were always looking for me in transition, and that communication was as simple as just making eye contact. If Darius and I made eye contact in transition, or me and CC made eye contact in transition, I knew I needed to go towards them, because they wanted to flip it back to me. And then throughout the game, if I wasn't getting shots, or maybe I was getting shots and I wasn't hitting them, they always did a great job of coming up to me and saying, hey, keep moving, keep finding those looks. I'm still looking for you. When I get in the lane, make sure you're moving. Because they wanted to get a good shot, and me shooting the ball was a good shot for our team.
Okay. Now, what was that like? I mean, I know it's built over time, trust, understanding what you can do, and reading certain scenarios. Who would you say was probably the best at really, and you ain't putting anybody on the spot. But as far as like, I'm pretty sure everybody knows for Steph Curry, Draymond Green is going to find him. So they know the best facilitator for him is Draymond Green. Now, you knew if I come off the screen, or if the guy plays me incorrectly wrong, I got the shot. Who would that be?
Probably Darius Perry, just because I had 3 years with him. You know, CC was great at it, but I only had 1 year with him. Quentin Snyder was great at it, but only had 2 years with him. Darius and I really developed that chemistry over the course of those 3 years.
I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in to Scouting Report. I'm your host, Coach Tim Gray. Until next time.